Don't let this happen at your wedding. It's here, the big moment you've been waiting for, maybe even dreaming of since you were little. You're about to walk down the aisle. You've practiced it, you've pictured it. You're ready to walk slowly and take it all in. Your photographer is poised and ready to snap away to capture the perfect shot. Now, fast forward, you're looking through your wedding photos and you're so excited to see this perfect moment frozen in time. Except you take a look at the photo and all you see are phones and Aunt Jane's iPad and Uncle Jim's Nikon from 1995. Hi, I'm Morgan, a news producer turned wedding photographer helping engaged couples create the perfect rundown for their wedding day. After photographing weddings for 5 years, I'm sharing all of my best tips, tricks, and experiences that I share with all of our couples. Full honesty here, we are shocked by the number of wedding guests who do not understand good boundaries when it comes to using their phones, full-on digital cameras, and iPads at wedding ceremonies. The number of times I've had to ask a guest to step out of the aisle right before the bride walks down is cringeworthy. This is why the Unplugged ceremony is not just a trend. I believe it's essential. This involves asking your guests to keep their phones away or off during your ceremony, and that means for pictures too. Here's why we think having an unplugged ceremony is so important. Guests who take it upon themselves to document your ceremony will try to sit near the aisle. They will have their phones or cameras out while you're walking down the aisle, during your kiss, and sometimes throughout the whole ceremony. You will notice phones out in your pictures. It's not avoidable, especially if they're in the aisle. And worst case scenario, a guest could step out too far and get in your shot while you're walking down the aisle or sharing your first kiss. They will never capture something better than your professional photographer will. And if anything, they'll just ruin those professional photos. Aside from your photos, it's nice to just have your guests be present at your ceremony. They don't need to be documenting it when you hired a photographer and videographer. Encourage them to enjoy your ceremony and put their phones down. Now, here are my best tips for having an unplugged ceremony and getting your guests to actually follow it. The most popular way to communicate the unplugged ceremony is with a sign. I do highly recommend having a sign. Make sure you set it where all guests will see it as they enter. But the unplugged ceremony sign is not enough. A lot of guests will look past it or just ignore it anyway. To enforce it a little better, have your officiant announce the unplugged ceremony before anyone walks down the aisle. The officiant should tell guests that your ceremony is unplugged, that you, the couple, have specifically requested no phones and no photos while you walk down the aisle and during your ceremony. The more specific the officiant is, the better. If your officiant just says, no phones during the ceremony, I guarantee you someone will think that walking down the aisle doesn't count as during the ceremony. Have your officiant politely remind your guests that you have hired professional photographers to capture this moment for you and that you want your guests to enjoy the moment. Again, make sure this announcement, this is very important, comes before you walk down the aisle. I've seen officiants make the announcement after everyone's walked down the aisle, and by then it's too late. The big, beautiful moment is over and 10 people had their phones out. Now, if you know you'll have guests who just can't help themselves, you can consider setting aside 1 minute at the beginning of the ceremony for a sort of photo op. Once you're at the altar, the officiant can invite guests to take their phones out, take a picture of you at the altar, and then put the phones away again. Your officiant can tell everyone about this upcoming photo op when they announce the unplugged ceremony, because that might just motivate those few who really can't help themselves. Now, lastly, if you've taken all these steps, the last thing I want you to do is just let it go. I don't want you to stress out on your wedding day about this. Ultimately, you can only do so much, and certain people will do what they're going to do no matter what you say. If someone takes their phone out, it won't ruin your day. It won't ruin your relationship. It won't ruin your life. But if you take these steps, you'll greatly reduce the chance of seeing those phones in your photos, and you'll give your guests permission to stay in the moment. Not sure where to start with your wedding day timeline? Download our free Wedding Day Timeline bundle in the description below. We're giving away our best wedding day timelines that our couples have used and trusted for more than 5 years. This bundle covers all sorts of scenarios: a first look, no first look, weddings with travel and no travel, and more. Click Get My Free Wedding Day Timeline bundle in the description below to grab your free copy.